Well, my name's Dave Strain. I'm president of APS. It's a systems development company focusing on the efficiency improvement on HVAC systems. There's a concern with regard to the measures that people have taken with adjustments in HVAC systems to mitigate the transmission of diseases such as Legionnaire's disease and COVID. In both cases, the measures that were implemented would have a tendency to reduce the relative humidity in the buildings. Reduction of the relative humidity is a means by which the virus and the bacteria are more easily transmitted. Therefore, in that case, it would be actually increasing disease rather than decreasing it. The benefits that were promoted are quite questionable with regard to the sciences available to us. What we'll do is present this to you in two different slides. The first one will be addressing the situation with the cold water sprays and Legionella. This page outlines a system modification implemented by APS to provide heat energy required for humidification using cold water spray systems by maximizing the use of recycled return air. As illustrated in the upper diagram, prior to our modifications, the return air humidity control would activate the humidifier spray pump. This caused the supply air temperature to drop from the mixed air temperature of 13 degrees Celsius down to a supply air temperature of approximately 9 degrees Celsius. As a result, the heating system was forced to add an additional 4 Celsius degrees of heat to maintain comfort for the occupants whenever the sprays were active. Following the APS control modifications shown in the lower diagram, the return air humidity controller still activated the humidifier spray pump. However, as the supply temperature begins to decrease due to evaporative cooling, the control system responds by increasing the mixed air temperature to approximately 20 degrees Celsius. This is achieved by recycling return air that would have otherwise been exhausted out of the building. The cooling effect of the evaporative sprays then brings the supply air temperature back down to a stable 13 degrees Celsius, consistent with the conditions when the sprays were inactive. Key benefits. 1. Significant reduction in energy waste by eliminating unnecessary reheating. 2. Improved occupant comfort by avoiding sudden 4 Celsius degree drops in the supply air temperature, causing associated draft complaints. This control strategy proved highly effective at the Education Center in Etobicoke. Based on utility data, the buildings actually achieved a 52.6% reduction in gas consumption, with implementation requiring only a few hours of labor and minimal in material costs. Cold water spray humidification systems have often been abandoned due to concerns over Legionnaire's disease concerned with HVAC systems. However, this concern seemingly is overstated when examined against the scientific data and practical system design. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, the Legionella bacteria typically grows in water temperatures between approximately 25 degrees Celsius and 45 degrees Celsius, only rarely at temperatures as low as 20 degrees Celsius. Since humidification is only required during the winter, sump water temperatures in cold water spray systems can be controlled to maintain well below this threshold. In addition, systems can be automatically deactivated and drained when outdoor temperatures rise above approximately 10 degrees Celsius. Eliminating humidification altogether can have unintended consequences. Indoor low humidity levels are known to increase the transmission potential for airborne bacteria and viruses, potentially leading to higher infection rates among occupants. Further investigation is warranted with respect to the source of Legionnaire's infections, but we don't want to miss an opportunity to save a lot of energy and help the environment with respect to reducing climate change impacts because we're assigning a source of infection to a part of a system which is not relevant. However, these issues are more commonly linked to other causes, such as inadequate maintenance practices rather than humidification practices themselves. Proper system upkeep remains essential. When properly designed and maintained, humidification can be both energy efficient and beneficial to the occupant health. It should be considered not only a technical solution, but also a practical and socially responsible approach to improving indoor environment quality and saving energy. The second slide is to do with the COVID situation and the increase in excessive fresh air. During the COVID pandemic, authorities issued ventilation guidance for HVAC systems that focused primarily on increasing fresh air intake as a means of reducing viral transmission. While well-intentioned, this approach failed to account for several significant and damaging consequences that should have been considered. Increased greenhouse gas emissions resulted in additional fuel required to heat volumes of cold outdoor air, increased thermal discharge into the atmosphere due to higher exhaust air volumes, substantially higher operating costs by increasing energy consumption. There's a wide range of potential environmental and economic damage associated with increasing fresh air beyond original design levels, particularly when the systems are modified from an optimized conservation circuit to high percentage or to 100% outdoor air operation. Most HVAC systems cannot operate 100% outdoor air in cold climates, but many are capable of increasing outdoor air beyond the original design limits. Even these partial increases have serious consequences. Scenario 1. The conservation circuit to original design operation. The upper part of this drawing shows a particular scenario. Reverting a system from a conservation circuit back to original design configuration results in a significant increase in environmental impact and operating costs. Fuel consumption increases by 266%, while directly translating into a 266% increase in greenhouse gas emissions required to produce the additional heating energy. Exhaust air discharge increases by 273%, meaning substantially more heat is injected directly into the atmosphere. This represents a major increase in both carbon emissions and direct thermal pollution. Scenario 2. Conservation circuit to a 100% outdoor air operation. The lower drawing represents this scenario. Although most systems cannot physically operate 100% outdoor air in cold weather, if such operation were possible, impacts would be even more severe. Heating energy demand increases by 733% compared to the conservation circuit. This results in a 733% increase in greenhouse gas emissions required to generate the heat. Exhaust heat discharge increases by 667%, dramatically increasing thermal loading into the atmosphere. We unsuccessfully attempted to find research that tested the virus as it entered the rooms as being dead or alive. If a virus comes from another room, goes up through the turbulence of the HVAC system, and is killed as it's coming out to the other rooms, then the risk of infection from the HVAC air is non-existent before and after the HVAC changes. We did contact ASHRAE's Epidemic Task Force, and they indicated that the testing we were requesting wasn't necessary because turbulence tend to kill the virus. Now, whether the HVAC system's turbulence is sufficient to do that or not is what makes the research to determine it quite valuable. Now, if the virus can withstand all the turbulence and come from one room live and come out through the fan system live again, we should be assessing the negative impact of the extra exposure to the virus against the impact of climate change with all the damage we're doing to the Earth as a whole, and also the extra costs involved in providing the energy. There's a survey reported by the BBC stating that more than 50% of the children are concerned with climate change on a regular basis, and 40% of them say they are hesitant to get married and have children because of the state of the planet. It's a very serious situation for a sustainable society. Another threat to the children's well-being is that Stanford University says that we're going to run out of all fossil fuels within the lifetime of the children. These are two threats that we should be trying to address as adults and provide solutions to the children. If you get time, please send an email or a phone call to your officials who are in charge of climate change and energy for society and express your concern to them with respect to the well-being of the children's future. A collective voice will cause some positive action. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your concern.